Good evening. I'd like to call the Trotwood-Madison regular meeting, October 19th, 2023, to order. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Yes. If we would stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And today, we'll have our mission statement read by our very own student representative, Aaliyah Johnson. If you want to sit there and use the mic, you can, whichever you prefer.
That was a great idea.
Our mission. The mission of Trotwood-Madison City Schools is to graduate all students prepared to excel in a global society with commitment to a long life learning by guaranteeing a challenging curriculum facilitated by innovative and dedicated staff, community participation, and state-of-the-art resources by stimulating the atmosphere.
Thank you. And now I'd like a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move to adopt the agenda as presented.
I second that motion as stated.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Moore and second by Mr. Davis. Are there any changes?
No, I don't have any.
With no changes, Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Yes, the agenda has been adopted, and now we will move to community comments.
I do have one this evening. Dorothy Heron. And Ms. Heron, I will read the procedure for addressing the Board of Education. Obviously, you complete the request form, identify yourself and state the reason for addressing the board. Address the board as a whole through the president and not board members individually. Limit your remarks to 3 minutes. No extensions will be granted. When your time is up, you are to stop speaking. It is inappropriate to address any matter involving pending disputes, grievances under a labor agreement, disciplinary action involving an employee or a student, and ongoing labor negotiations. The purpose of the community comments portion of the meeting is for members of the public to express viewpoints and public concern.
Good evening. My name is Dorothy Heron. I'm here on behalf of my daughter, Honesty Heron. It was an altercation 2 months ago, and I have been trying to reach out for help for the last 2 months, contacting the superintendent, also contacting the principal and the assistant principal. No one had ever returned my call. I had to take off 2 days to get this situated. My daughter has been being bullied, threatening messages. I done emailed them to the principal. Then she got a text saying that the girl wanted to fight her. Then that morning we got texts saying that the girl was gonna jump her. I called the school at 7:47, talked to Mr. Mickey, told Mr. Mickey that girls was planning to jump my daughter, whether it was there or down the street. He said, if it's down the street, there's nothing I can do. I felt like they should have been on their P's and Q's or walked my daughter to the bus stop, but the fight broke out, which Honesty and another young lady was jumped by other girls. Now they're trying to suspend my daughter instead of protecting her with the bully law, and they're trying to expel her. I don't understand why it takes so long for a parent to get through. I don't want my daughter to end up like the last young man that was jumped at Trotwood School. We have problems with no computers, not enough computers. They're dying, they're not coming up. I just don't understand. And my daughter's been given a grade from band, a F, and never received an instrument. How do you grade a child who never received an instrument? I have not yet, to this day, got a call back about that. And when I keep calling, all they say is, she's no longer in band. I know, I removed her, but I still would like to know, how was she graded without an instrument? She got a D in literacy. Literacy doesn't have enough computers for everybody, and when the child get to them, they either going dead while they're on them, or they're just not functioning right. I don't know, it could be too many kids using the same computer, and it's just full. So I did get good customer service. Ms. Crosby did move my daughter out of the same class as the young lady, which the principal and the assistant was not willing to do. But I did receive bad customer service when I never got a call back for 2 months. The first fight took place August 19th, 17th or the 19th, and I never got calls back. So I am here because now they want to expel my daughter and not protect her. So I don't understand how that works when I've been trying to reach out to someone and get this nipped. So here I am, fighting on her behalf and hoping that y'all understand, but I don't see how y'all helping the kids if nobody is acknowledging the bully law, but yet is trying to suspend and expel them when this child done everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Caron. We will, and I know Dr. Cosby has spoken with you, but we will ask that all of the allegations that you just mentioned are reviewed, investigated, and then she'll let the board know, but she'll also contact you directly.
Thank you.
So Dr. Cosby, you will, and I
Yes.
understand you had a meeting scheduled
Yes.
with the principal, so as soon as that has happened, please make sure, because customer service to our parents is number one. And we want to make sure that that is happening. But
I will
thank you.
respond back. Yes.
And now we will have a presentation, artists in residence, by Ms. Paul.
Dr. Hyson? Good evening, everybody. Sorry for my dark glasses. I had eye surgery 2 days ago. And it's a weird thing that I have an eye surgery on the right eye, but the left eye is still not done, which will be done in 2 weeks. But then I can't read properly because we have prescription glasses and one eye works just fine. So excuse me if I can't read something that far out, okay? At the outset, I would like to thank all of you for having me come and present about arts integration. At the outset, I would like to acknowledge the Ohio Arts Council, who was very generous and gave us 3 grants to carry out arts integration at Trotwood City Schools. I wish I had applied for 5 grants because we have the high school as well as the early learning center that we need to cover. Hopefully that'll happen next year. And the other organization I want to thank is the Culture Works, because we got $10,000 worth of money to buy art supplies for the 3 schools that we are incorporating arts integration in. So I wanted to tell you, what is arts integration? It is an approach to teaching and learning through which content standards are taught and assessed equitably and through the arts. So this is a definition that has been provided by the Institute of Arts Integration and STEAM, through which I'm trying to get certified into arts integration. What is arts integration? This definition is also through the same body, and it is an instructional approach. It is not a curriculum. what it does is it connects content standards of ELA, math, science, and social studies with the art standards. So arts integration is really a collaborative and integrated effort by the special arts integration specialists like myself and a classroom teacher. Why is arts integration at Trotwood? Well, we think that arts integration will help student outcomes. 30 years of research have suggested that it increases student outcomes by 20%, and it also increases student attendance by 5%. These are published reports, and there's a website, and everybody can have a copy of this through the school. How did Trotwood get arts integration? Well, the story is that there is an assistant principal who, from the middle school, who met me at one of my curating experiences, and she asked me, will you curate some of my students' art? And so I went to the middle school and met with her and the art teacher and some other teachers, and I said, well, I would be interested if all the students did art and not just a select few at after-school programs. And I said, I also told her that what the students need would be an arts integration program, and I would apply for a grant and get the money so artists could come and help the teachers incorporate this program. So then the next thing was, well, we had to call different grant giving bodies like the Ohio Arts Council, Culture Works, and it turns out that Ohio Arts Council said, well, Dr. Paul, the grant is due this Friday, and you're talking to me on Monday. And I said, well, if it's due on Friday, I can still work on it. And so we worked on it, and we got all 3 grants awarded. So that's how Trotwood got the Arts Integration Grant. What does it pay for? Well, it pays for artists. Like, these are local artists who live and work in Dayton, and it pays to have them come and give 336 hours of work. So students and teachers can engage with a working artist one-on-one, okay? And you can look at it as that there is an additional adult in the classroom working with all of your students. What is your responsibility as a school? So one of the things, all these comments that I have in my PowerPoint is through the Department of Arts Integration and STEAM. So what they say is, it's not one more thing. Arts integration is a way to supercharge your efforts in the best interest of your students. So we are not like artists, these artists in residence are not coming into your school to increase your workload of the teachers who are already doing a lot, but to aid them and collaborate and develop a good learning environment through the arts, okay? This, we feel, excites the students, teachers, staff, the administration, as well as the community. What have we done so far? So we got a little bit of a late start because nobody knows what we are supposed to do. However, what we have done so far is that we are assisting teachers to teach the students. So I have been in the classrooms at the 2 elementary schools, and I must say that you have a fantastic group of teachers and bright-eyed, really beautiful students who really want to learn. Some of them may be disruptive, but they respond well to another individual, to calm them down. So we want to create lesson plans that are tailor-made for the students of Trotwood. So we want to work with each of your teachers to come up with simple little lesson plans so that the students can achieve their maximum potential. So within the first day, I realized that I needed to create a very simple arts integration lesson. So I started off with Art in 10. So what this is it's a 2-minute video that the teachers can play in the classroom,
and I teach them a teachable moment. For instance, the video that I have below, which I don't have time for you to look at, teaches them about what is an archaeologist. And I give them an example of an archaeologist who I personally met and heard at Wright State University, and I tell them that in the 2 minutes. Her name is Dr. Jonetta Betch Cole, and guess what? She is 87 years old today. And not only that, she went to college at the age of 15. So you can imagine these kinds of little life lessons when you're teaching your students, it makes an impression on them. And with this particular lesson, I said, okay, let's make a pact today. And then I told them, what is a pact? Explained to them what is a pact. And for the art in 10, they were required to write the pact that, okay, I'm going to read 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes a day, and then sign it, and then decorate it as part of their art lesson. So what are the arts integration lesson plans? I have worked on a lot of arts integration lesson plans. Actually, frankly speaking, when I wrote the grant, I realized, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? I have to write all these lesson plans. But you know what? 30 years of research has actually given us a lot of organizations that have free lesson plans for teachers to use. So not only can I go in there and utilize some of their lessons, but also modify it to what our students at Trotwood need. Okay? So we can, through these lesson plans, help students who are weak as well as challenge students who are strong. So we don't want to leave the strong students just because they know how to read and write. We want to challenge them so they can be prepared for later time. So what do we need to succeed? We need collaboration, teamwork, support, and we need the excitement of the administration as well as the community. What do we need for the grant to get this grant again next year? Because in November, the grant opens up and we have to report to them. So I will be doing the reporting, and we will do all of these, we will incorporate the arts integration plans, get 5 artists. Can you believe we have the money pays for 5 artists to be there at your school 5 days a week, all day. And what is the promise? Well, I think the artists will work their hardest. That's what I can promise. We will work our hardest to work with your students. Will things get better? Well, I can't see the future, but 30 years of research says that there are positive student outcomes. I really thank you for giving me a year.
Thank you.
We're real excited about that program. So we're getting it scheduled and figuring out, how to get the 5 artists into the buildings, every day, so.
Okay. And this is the first year.
This is the first year.
And so do the teachers get the training on it during our TD days?
Yes, the teachers will be receiving their training.
So the grant said that we wanted to start it even before school started, but we had a later start. But we proposed that. I mean, this was quite expected. So while we are just trying to get into the program, what we are going to do is propose for next year, if the grant gets awarded back to us, that we start way ahead before the school starts, so that during teacher trainings, we
In reference to the artists, who decides what type of, where the artists are, where they come? Like, I would like to know more about the artists. I'm kind of a artsy guy myself, so I would love to talk to you more about that outside of, this, when we can talk more personal about it. And I'm really happy about that. Excellent presentation. I know you don't have a lot of time, but, I still think it's good, and I would like to expand on that personally, just with the board's permission.
So Mr. Gibson has chosen an artist already, and he has worked on.
Great job.
To
Yes,
bring
ma'am.
this artist, and they are going to make a mural.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that develops because he's trying to bring in people of Trotwood who have done really well, and he's done extensive work on that. So that increases social emotional learning for the children.
Mhm.
So what the other artists, I wrote the grant, so I'm one of the artists.
Mhm.
Basically, my training is that of a scientist. I've just become an artist 5 years ago.
Mhm.
But I'm very interested in arts integration programs. As you can see, 30 years
Yeah.
of arts integration, we don't see it in schools. My children went to public schools. They never had it. in
Yes,
arts
ma'am.
integration. So my interest is that why not, excite our students and teachers by incorporating artists in the school when so much work and so much money has been already done. I think we should see this. And Trotwood has an exceptional opportunity in this, that we can become a role model for other schools to follow.
I noticed that we're gonna be waiting on those grants again, last thing. We're gonna be waiting on those grants again, but you would like to do the startup a little earlier or premature to get it going, so we can be ready for the grants when we receive them.
Oh, no. So,
Or is it not like that?
The grant, the way it has been written.
Yes.
We had to start it before school started.
Yes.
And then the teachers come in too, so that we can train the teachers, et cetera. Just tell them what it is, so that right now, everybody is like, what the heck are these artists doing? What are we gonna do? So it helps with the transition, which will become smoother
Mhm.
going forward.
Thank you.
The grant will be, the grant is going to be starting in November, so
Mhm.
we have to report it, and it will be given to us next July, just before school starts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about
This
that.
is really good.
It's very exciting.
This is very, very exciting.
Thank you.
And our student representative has a comment. You might need to take your microphone and pull it to
Ms. Paul,
Yes.
we would like to
Dr.
know,
Paul.
sorry, Dr. Paul, we would like to know what schools, like which buildings will have these programs.
Right now, we have Madison Park, we have the middle school,
Mm.
and the other.
Westbrook?
Westbrook.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
So I
you.
have worked at Madison Park and Westbrook. We will be going to the middle school soon, but I have eye surgeries, so as soon as that's all taken care of, we will start there. I'm sure the other artists have already started, and we are waiting for approval of 2 other artists to come in, so that we will have.
And I have one more question. Did you say that you'll help like the students learn how to study?
Yes, we want to, because I believe personally, all students have a different way to learn. Some people learn through theater, some people learn through music. Today I had an amazing opportunity at school to view some of the students dancing to some YouTube music, and they were phenomenal. So you see, students learn differently, and so arts integration allows people of different learning abilities to learn better.
A lot of teachers, they said like one of our problems in our school is us students, we don't know how to study, and they wish for us to have like a study class just to teach us how to study, and I think that this would be a good program.
Yes, thank you. I have personal experience with some of the students, trying to teach them subtraction. Once they got it, they wanted to finish the entire worksheet before even though their teacher said, okay, you put your worksheets away, they were still doing those worksheets. Because it's just a little bit of help and they get it. Thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
And the middle school is developing a mural, and they're gonna use, one of the artists to help with that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting.
Very good. Thank you again, and thank you for all of the comments. Good conversation. Next, we'll have the board report, and under there are our policy updates for the fall of 2023, and this is the second reading.
So we're for action tonight.
Right. And so I'll take a motion to approve the policies.
I'll move to approve the policy updates 4.2, 42.1 fall 2023, second reading. I'll second.
Been properly moved by Ms. Moore and second by Ms. Cherry. Are there any comments? So we have quite a few policies, and I didn't know if we were gonna go through them briefly, Dr. Cosby. I know we did it before.
Right, we did it at our last meeting.
Right, we did.
Yeah.
There was one
Okay.
that talks about the third grade reading guarantee. It's
Mhm.
like on page 3 of 5. And it says that the reading improvement plan for the students, once it's developed for a student, it stays with them.
Yes, they have to have a RIM, is what it's called, their
Right.
reading improvement plan, until they get to grade level. So we could have students who are on a RIM, throughout their school years, until they get that done.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how does that work? So are they how often are they tested on the RIM, on their, and how do you test them on their individual?
Each student individually on their
Well,
reading?
It made it sound as though each student get their own.
Right. Each student would receive a RIM. They do now, but it just doesn't follow them, throughout their entire career. But they have made some changes to the third grade reading guarantee. As you know now, parents get to determine whether or not the student, will move forward or not. So
Right.
regardless of what that decision is, based on collaboration with their school team and the parent, the student does have to have a RIM, and it is an individualized reading improvement plan for them. And they will be tested. Now, this is just starting, so, I'm sure we're gonna find out how that's gonna all play out. But yes, they will keep that reading plan until they start to read on grade level.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was like the map testing, once they do the map testing, would it automatically
Determine whether or not they're reading. I'm sure there are lots of ways they can determine that a student is reading.
Some of that is still being worked
Yeah.
out with the Department of Education.
Yes.
And with Governor DeWine's Read Ohio initiative, but we will be using map testing. That does have a proficiency equivalency to it, as well as Acadians through grade 5.
How do we communicate that to parents, that, okay, third grade reading, this is critical. We need to reading, at night. I remember long ago, they were required to read so many books in addition to the homework. So, do you happen to know how we're enriching that homework to increase that reading?
Yeah, I mean, in several ways, Principal Sterner has held a parent meeting for all third grade parents to really go over that material with them. And she is also going to be offering after-school tutoring. That's part of her tutoring that will really be focused on those reading scores.
And I had shared that with you
You
all.
did.
Yeah, that they were actually calling individual parents to set up the tutoring and things for that.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Questions? If not, Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Okay, so I'm sorry. Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
and Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Yes, and for the public, if you didn't hear the first meeting, at the first reading, we do have 2 board members that sit on the policy committee, so they actually get to review all of the policies in detail. And we vote at
C, A, B, and C.
It's A,
Under-
B, and C.
Yes.
B is the student activity purpose statement and budget FY '24 for athletic department and principals account for Trotwood-Madison Middle School. C is approved minutes from September 7th work session meeting and September 21st regular meeting. I'll take the motion.
I'll move to accept the item 5 consent agenda items as presented.
I second that as stated.
It's been properly moved and second. Are there any comments on either of those? If not, Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Moore? Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes. The consent agenda agreements are approved. Now we'll move to the treasurer's report.
So I do have several items this evening to present. We did have a finance committee meeting this evening. Board Member Cherry and the superintendent were in attendance. Reports were reviewed and 3 checks were asked to be pulled. Check. Well, I started too early, I'm sorry. I'll go back a little bit. I skipped a couple of things, I'm sorry. So we'll start with the cash reconciliation report. For September, we had for bank statement balances, $5,857,170.27. Our investment balances totaled $28,531,188.88. With our outstanding vendor checks and the adjustments, that did equal exactly to our Meta financial system of $34,209,669.45. The second report is our spending plan for September that indicates your monthly actual and your fiscal year-to-date actual. We did go over this report as well at the Finance Committee. You can see that the total revenues for the month of September equals $6.3 million. Fiscal year-to-date is $13.6 million. Total expenses for the month was $3.6 million, and fiscal year-to-date was $8.8 million. So we always looked to make sure or hope that our revenue is more than our expenses. We did get a $3 million real estate payment along with a $437,000 property tax for our tangible personal property tax. And so that does help our district to avoid any deficit spending. And so our excess revenue over expenses for the month of September is $2,717,839.13. Fiscal year-to-date is $3,622,481.32. That is revenue over expenses. And I was reading the checks. We did, again, have a Finance Committee meeting. We did review the checks for September, and I was asked to pull 3 checks. So the first check that was asked to be pulled was a check in the amount of $1,000, and that check was cut to University of Cincinnati for $1,000. That check was cut because there was a scholarship recipient that received the Deborah A. Petroselli Memorial Scholarship. So that money was sent to the University of Cincinnati, and of course I have to say this, I'm a alum of UC, so they thought I was giving my college some money, but I wasn't. So we double checked it. So check number 110208 to Equal Opportunity Schools in the amount of $13,125. And I'm going to lean toward Dr. Cosby to explain that one again.
Okay, that's a program that will allow our students to have opportunities that other schools do, such as more AP classes and things of that nature. So that's that program that we're working on with our high school, trying to make sure that our students have equity in the offerings that they receive as well.
So is that for PD or for?
It is for the program to be set up, and it will, have some of that involved,
Yeah,
yes.
so it'll start, like they did an audit of who's currently taking those advanced course offerings, what advanced course offerings we have. And then they do an analysis of our students' test scores to see where we can offer more offerings to more students. So there will be professional development likely recommended for that, for teachers, so that they learn how to differentiate in those classes and teach those advanced classes.
So this company will just come in and do a review and an assessment of our students and where they are, how many are currently taking it. And
That's
if
what,
it's,
that's what they start with, and then they'll lead us through a process, helping to add appropriate coursework, helping to make sure teachers are appropriately trained, helping us to, recruit and retain students in those programs.
so is this a one-time fee or will we see this show up again?
It's, we're in a 2-year contract with them, so it'll be this year and next year. And this is grant funded through our Equal Opportunities Grant, which is designed for programs like this.
Okay, all right, thank you.
We have visited schools that have as many as 25 AP classes offered, and every student is encouraged, for example, to take AP US History as a good opportunity. They call it a push, trying to push our kids. And that's what we're trying to do, is aspire our kids to go higher. And so that's what made this feel important to us.
And I'm not sure if a lot of people understand that one of the biggest markers and factors on the report card is how many students that you have taken AP. So that is a very good push.
Yes.
It helps the overall report card by expanding that accessibility.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
The last check that was pulled was check 1102-208 to Northmont City Schools, and that was for the transportation costs to transport those homeless students.
Is that because they reside in that area or they reside in Trotwood and attend Northmont?
They reside in Trotwood, but for whatever reason, they're living in Northmont and going to Northmont schools. So we're responsible for transportation.
Okay.
And that's all I have for A. I would like to take action on those 3 reports.
There is one, if you could look,
Sure.
it's NRG Business Marketing, and it's $6,488.
6,000 NRG Business Marketing. I don't know if you- That doesn't ring a bell to me. I would have to check
And you
that.
can
I have to pull it.
email the, thank you.
Let me make a note of that. You said, you have it? Okay. I will send that information to the board, if that's okay.
Okay. And Mr. Anderson, you have a question?
Yes. Ever Driven, is that the transportation company?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Ever Driven?
Technology?
Yeah.
Ever driven.
It's
Ever-driven.
6,000.
Ever driven for $9,925?
Yeah, I saw 2 payments come out for the same model.
I know, Mr. Howard.
I would have to pull that too. I don't, I'll get this. But you we'll pull it.
And I'm sure you know this one, Ms. Allen,
Okay.
but we wrote a check to ourselves, Trotwood-Madison, $5,634.
Yeah, and I know what that is. That is the, for auxiliary services, it is an administrative fee that they pay us, and so they're paying, it's paid to the district, it's an administrative cost from auxiliary services. So they're paying us for that, check.
And Empowerment to Elevate?
Yeah. Empowered to Elevate, that's the organization that's working with their Heroes of the Household. If you'll remember, Mr. Logan, Zach Logan came in and spoke to us, that's, yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman, I'll double check that, because I saw that look, so I'll double check that, but I'll double check that. Yeah.
Are there any other questions on item 8?
So just,
You have another?
just to make sure that I've gotten all of them, one was NRG, one was, or two was Ever Driven, and the other one was the Trotwood-Madison, and I will pull those checks and, send something by email tomorrow at the latest.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are no other questions, Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Have a motion?
I need a motion. Did you move?
I thought you did.
I did.
No. I don't have anything.
No, I'll take the motion.
You want a motion now? Okay, I'll move to accept treasurer's report item A as presented.
I second that as stated.
I think we start asking questions first.
I think we forgot to take the
Right,
motion first and then get the questions.
we did.
So,
Well, I do have a question.
Oh, okay, sorry, my bad.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Moore and a second by Mr. Davis. Make sure I got that right.
I do.
Now, are there any further questions?
Yes, I noticed that, Pizza Hut bill, is that was that used for the schools?
I didn't hear, I
Pizza
didn't
Hut,
hear you.
Pizza Hut.
You might be-
You might turn it on.
I noticed our Pizza Hut bill, is that for a particular school?
So, I don't know. Which,
It's on the last page, 1,600.
6,100?
No, $1,600.
$1,600?
Yeah.
Pizza at $16.92.
Yep.
I will double check that, but I am sure that is from food service, and sometimes they buy pizzas
Okay.
from Pizza Hut. But I thought Pizza Hut's name
Yes.
changed, but I would double check that for you as well. But yeah, that's probably food service.
Okay.
I noticed that our senior is saying yes.
Yes.
We get pizza at the high school sometimes,
All
so.
right. But I'll pull that just to double check.
Okay, if there are no more questions, Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Kindly, Ms. Moore,
yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
and Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Yes. The motion for the financial reports for September is approved.
And I do have another one, 6B, is approval of amended appropriations for FY '24. In front of you, and, well, let me go back. The financial reports, I also, the total packet is under the board's executive tab for that, and also under B, I have a hard copy of the changes to appropriations in front of you, but I'm not sure if I attached this one or not, but in front of you is a hard copy of the changes from the last time that I submitted a change, and that was September 21st. The appropriation documents, the total is $57,961,495.66. Those changes included food service, a change for an increase of $152,342.17. Special trust, and that was Fund 7, from $6,000 to $8,000, increase of $2,000. Our district managed activity funds is Fund 300, and the primary account under that is food service. We increased that, and that, the $73,150 is not just for food service, but that was just giving an example. Auxiliary services, we increased that to $13,103.54. Early childhood education, we decreased the expenses due to teacher salary and benefits. Title I, we increased that by $1,973,141.23. So September 21, the appropriation was $55,987,500. $508.72. We did increase that by $1,973,986.94, bringing the total appropriations to, again, $57,961,495.66.
All right,
And I
I'll
would
take
like
a motion
to approve it.
to approve the amended appropriations for FY 2024.
I'll move to accept item B, treasurer's report, approval for the amended appropriations FY 2024. I'll second.
Moved by Mrs. Moore and second by Mrs. Cherry. Are there any questions?
Yes. District managed activities.
So that's when district managed, so I'll give you an example. District managed is the athletics, so it's an adult that's managing the activity, as opposed to student managed, where there's students like the Honor Society, that's Fund 200, so that's the difference. It's adults versus students. So students run the National Honor Society, and adults run the athletics.
Okay, and auxiliary services.
What is that?
Auxiliary services.
So auxiliary services is Mother Bruner. That is those services that we provide for them. We
And-
have reduced significantly for them. We're only dealing Title I with them. They chose to not have all their funds flow through our district any longer.
Very good. If there are no others, Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes, the motion is approved. And now we move to the superintendent's report.
All right, tonight I only have two things to bring before you, and I will be asking for action on both. We've talked quite frequently about getting those science tables for our high school, and so I do now have the quote, which I'll need to have approved. I'll read to you what is being asked. Attached is a quote for the purchase, assembly, and delivery of mobile science tables and chairs to continue our process of upgrading science labs in Trotwood-Madison High School. These tables would replace the current units and provide the ability to move students around in the classroom during class time and science experimentation. Teachers will have the opportunity to reconfigure their classrooms with various setups to ensure the highest level of engagement and student monitoring during instruction. The request for the tables is not to exceed $95,000 for purchase, labor, and installation. Additional funds are added to the request and will be used only in the event of any unexpected ancillary cost. Upon arrival, the company will work with the science department and the operations department to ensure instruction time is not interrupted during the school day. And part of your attachment will sort of show you what the tables look like and the chairs and the cost. And then you'll see that there's a separate cost for installation and assembly. But again, it's not to exceed $95,000. I would ask for approval.
All right, I take a motion to approve the new science tables in schools.
I'll move to accept the superintendent's item A for the science table and stools for high school lab.
I second that as stated.
Properly moved by Ms. Moore and second by Mr. Davis. Are there any questions? If not, Mrs. Allen, would you call the roll?
Ms. Moore?
I did have a really quick question. I'd like
Okay.
to, and then.
We'll back up.
Okay. How many tables? Where?
How many tables?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that is a part of this.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Maybe it's an oversight on my part.
96. Does it say 96?
Is there 96?
I don't know. I think it's 96.
It says quantity 96.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Miss Allen, yes?
Okay. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes, the motion is approved for our new science tables.
Okay, and next I have our personnel agenda. and I'll go through this quickly. A1 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified retirements for the 23-24 school year. A2 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified after-school tutors for the 23-24 school year. A3 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified adjustment and training for the 23-24 school year. A4 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified new hire for the 23-24 school year. A5 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified adjustment and retirement date. Then we have our classified personnel agenda, Agenda B. B1 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified resignations for the 23-24 school year. B2 is a recommendation for the approval of the classified termination for the 23-24 school year. B3 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified staff to be used on an as-needed basis for the 23-24 school year. B4 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified new hires for the 23-24 school year. B5 is a recommendation for approval of the following classified supplementals for the 23-24 school year. B6 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified after-school workers for the 23-24 school year. And that's all I have on the personnel agenda.
Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the personnel agenda.
I'll move to approve the personnel agenda as presented.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Moore and second by Ms. Cherry. Are there any questions?
I do have a question. Did we get an answer in regards to B2?
Yes, and I put it in an email to you.
Okay, you already did?
I already
I didn't
did.
see that. Okay.
Okay. If we, and I think we talked about this a little, I'm loving that we have so many teachers signed up for after-school tutoring. And as we're, making sure we evaluate our programs to make sure we have enough students, and I know that the principals will manage that based on the students that do show up. But parents, if you're out there, we're offering tutoring in each of our buildings. This is an opportunity. We provide busing. You don't even have to worry about that. And one other thing, and I think our students talked about this when I was meeting with them, do we provide after-school meals for them?
Yes, we do.
We do.
If they stay after.
So, that's a plug.
That's a plus, yes.
That's a very big
There's-
plus.
To your point, we have a lot of teachers who are interested in tutoring the students, and it will be based on who signs up. So, yes, I would highly encourage parents, and I do know that teachers are making individual phone calls to students who they know need some support. So hopefully that number will rise, but it is encouraging to see that our teachers
It
are
is.
interested in participating.
It is very encouraging, and I really appreciate that. Maybe we can do a news, radio news ad and social media ad.
Okay?
We want to make sure that we're informing the general populace that we're putting the money into the tutoring. Our report card is not where we want it to be, so what is our number one effort? It's a big push to do that, so.
Yes, I agree.
One of the things too, President Jeter Freeman, the news is always saying, oh, call us, Trotwood has good stuff.
Right.
Maybe that could be wrapped around some of the other good stuff. Channel 2, I know they're real big for saying, call us if you have anything. That would be a good thing, and it would be very newsworthy, and people would get the information.
Right, and I do think we have, I know that we have some things coming up in the media very soon, but I will make sure that we also call them and see if they will
Yeah, they'll
come out.
Yeah. I actually ran into one of them, and they're like, why haven't Trotwood called us? And I don't know if it's just an oversight on we have a lot of things good that are coming out.
Yeah.
But They want us to call.
And we do currently have, I believe it is, Eileen McClory will be coming into, Ms. Sterner's building to meet with her and to go about and see what we are doing. What, there are some good things going on there. If you'll remember, she had the, highest amount of gap closing, got all the stars. And, so she has contacted me and asked if she could get in, and I know they've set a date. So
Very
it's coming
good.
up soon, yes.
Very good. Did our students have any comments? Or you'll wait till the end?
We have a question for the after-school tutoring. Is there like a date set already for like when it will start?
I think, yes, the middle school, when will you're getting ready to start, aren't you? Monday, okay.
When
And-
will, oh, sorry.
So, yeah, things are gonna be starting now. The high school is what you would want to know. I will have to get with, Mr. Gray. 2 weeks out before we get started? Okay, yeah. At our last board meeting, if you'll remember, we only had middle school names on our, agenda, and this time we do have our high school teachers. So as soon as this gets approved, then we'll be able to move forward.
Is there times already? Like when the tutoring starts to when it ends?
I think they're like 2-hour slots. They're 2 hours,
And
Right
buses are
after
provided?
school.
right after school.
And there is transportation available, right?
Yes.
If there are no other comments, Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Yes, the personnel agenda is approved. And now we'll move into the treasurer's comments.
Yes, I attached on board docs under your executive tab, my treasurer's report for October 19th. I also gave you a hard copy at your places. Just wanted to let you know that we had a successful flu shot clinic. We had about 80 participants that took advantage of our flu shots. I did have a young man to job shadow me last week. He is interested in becoming a treasurer. He has a CPA. He's also a Notre Dame grad, University of Michigan grad. He has his doctorate in finance. So he is wanting to pursue that career. And just some other, one great thing, Daniel Kasi, I put Westbrook Village applied for and received a $5,000 STEM classroom grant from the Ohio STEM Learning Network. So I
Very
think she
good.
did that last year, but that's awesome. And so anything financial I like to put on these reports.
Thank you.
So that's all I wanted to share.
All right. And superintendent comments.
Okay, I have a couple of things. First, I do want to say that our parent-teacher conferences went well. I did get a chance to get by, and I really, okay, this is me personally, I like the idea that they put the Scholastic Book Fair along with this evening, and I noticed that there were parents who would walk in to go to meet with that teacher, and you could tell by the kid's face whether it was a good meeting or not, and they typically walked out the door, but those that were walking by really happy walked into the room to be able to purchase books. And I thought that was a pretty good incentive for students to do well, is have that opportunity. I also wanted to share with you that our teachers are going to have an opportunity for free to them and free to the school, to participate in 2 one-hour sessions where they're going to, the title is Millionaire Educator. And it's an attempt to keep teachers wanting to follow the career path that they've chosen to be teachers, but to also learn financial information that will help them be able to still do things that they want to do with their lives while being teachers. So things about, how to invest their money, but also how to turn their passions into things that maybe they can do on the side. I know when I first started teaching, I was selling Mary Kay. You know, everybody finds a way to make ends meet, so they will have that opportunity to do that.
I have a question. It's not just for teachers, it's for anyone, right?
Yeah, that's sent to
Okay.
all.
Okay.
Yeah, to
I mean-
anybody who wanted to, yes. Anybody in the district who was interested, yes. Also, I did want to take a moment, you know, just to talk about how we do support our students and our families, because, you know, we have a lot of situations where it may appear that we don't have services, we don't provide them, and that we're not doing customer service, which, as you know, is one of our annual goals, is to have great customer service. I think I would be remiss if I were to allow you to go away with the misperception that we are not intentionally, you know, contacting our families and things like that. And people have different reasons for why it's more difficult than others, but sometimes job situations allow you only like 2 10-minute opportunities to make a phone call to someone. It's very hard then to fit into those categories sometimes, but I will assure you that we are calling back, that we are making attempts to contact people, and if it doesn't work out that way, if someone does come to visit me, regardless of what I'm doing, I will drop everything and see them. And so that does happen. But I attempt to contact parents. Also, some use email and some do not, and that makes it another, you know, difficult opportunity. That being said, for all of our students, I want everyone, I hope anyone who is listening does take advantage of this. We have lots of resources for our students. If we have students who are having troubles, having hard times, finding themselves in situations where they may end up feeling depressed or feeling as if they're being bullied, and maybe they are being bullied, or feeling that they have some mental health issues that they would like help with, they need to know that in each of our buildings, there are trusted adults that they can go to. They can go to a teacher that they trust, they can go to a worker in that building that they trust, they can go to an admin. And once they do, those people know what the next step is. They would go, and for example, since she's here, Ms. Brown is here, she then can get them as a social worker, those names, and help us get those students to the resources that they need. We have mental health resources, we have all types of resources for our students, even down to if there's a need for tutoring and you're feeling like I'm getting behind, because those are the kind of things that can set kids into a bad mode. We know that fighting is the biggest issue that seems to come to us, but what we also know by data that's been pulled and shared with us recently, that suicide is the #1 killer of students and children from ages 10 to 24, young people. And so sometimes our students figure out a way to get attention, but we also need to be looking at those kids who may be walking by us and not acting out or getting attention. They still may need the help. So I'm saying this to everybody because I want our teachers to be on lookout for students who may need help. I want all families to know that we have resources and we really want to share them with their students. So even students, if you have friends and you're worried about them and they're having trouble, or you know that they're about to get into a fight or something is going on, please access the resources that we have. We've also talked a lot about the fact in this board setting, all of us have, that we also need our parents, that we cannot get things done without our parents, which is why we started Heroes of the Household. And as I've reported to you all, it's really going well. And I think that all parents should try to get involved, because even if you can't make an in-person meeting, we do one meeting in person, one meeting virtual. And if you need some support outside of those time frames, then you can also contact Ms. Jordan Isaac, and she can also help you. Our next in-person Heroes of the Household meeting is Monday from 5:30 to 6:30, and all parents are invited. So Monday from 5:30 to 6:30. Now, the purpose of those meetings is to help you get support for your children, we want to help parents learn how to work with their students. And actually, we will be having Mr. Logan's group in again on Monday, and they will be talking about how to talk to your kids so that your kids will listen to you. Because a lot of parents, I'm sure, feel like I say these things and it doesn't get through to them. So that is definitely an opportunity. So I just wanted to share that because I don't want anyone to get the impression that we don't care about all of our students. We do.
Thank you, Dr.
Mhm.
Cosby.
I'm sorry, Dr. Hopkins, you said that meeting on Monday is in person?
Yes, it's in person here at the board office.
And now we will move to our student representative for comments, our senior, Ms. Princess Anini.
We would like to understand the fundings for extracurriculum activities, like such as ROTC, band, baseball, football team, soccer.
I can, if you don't mind. The extracurricular activities, they are, for the most part, those monies are raised within those groups. And I use ROTC, for instance. The majority of the monies that they raised, or probably the majority of the monies that they've raised, were from them going out and doing fundraisers. The athletics, and our director could speak better than I, the athletics, soccer team, anything under athletics, there is athletic revenue that supports those activities, and those fall under athletics. Sometimes the board will, at the end of the year, if athletics is running into the red, they will have to move monies over to make sure that they're in the black. But fortunately, the last couple of years, we have not had to do that. And so we've been very, very fortunate that we've been able to sponsor a lot of tournaments, get a lot of money from the tournaments, and other things that we're doing to offset the cost of athletics. But those particular groups, they have to fundraise internally themselves.
So which sports are under athletics department?
So all the sports, meaning fall sports, you're talking about football, soccer, tennis, cross country, winter, talking about basketball, volleyball, basketball, swimming, wrestling, cheerleading.
Cheerleading.
Yeah, cheerleading sports fall as well. And then spring baseball, softball, track, boys tennis.
I was told that the band is under the athletic department. Is that true?
The athletic department has helped assist the band since I've been in the district for the last 4 years. In a couple of years, we've helped assist in some things that the band actually funding wise is not under that.
Is
And-
there
Go ahead.
is there a art department or something like that? Is there?
But that's not under athletics.
Okay. Is there an art department? Do we know?
Yes, we do have an art department. I think the information that you're sort of seeking will be at our November 2nd board meeting. We're going to have a discussion with their principals, so they're going to come and share with us what the supplementals are. So for example, if we have an art club, if they want to do something that will cost money for the students, the question is asked, how will you fundraise to pay for that? So, you know, if there are supplies and things like that that you need, they will either figure out a way to pay for it, and some of that will be covered, you know, through school. So is that your concern? Is like in art class, how do we pay for things?
Oh, I just had a question on like how the funding goes to like sports and activities in our school.
So
Yeah,
is-
that's
She
how.
was more concerned really with band. Is that right, Princess?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
We'll defer the questions through here. Mr. Smith?
Yeah, so band is normally up under the principal's fund. And I know a couple years ago when I came back, came to the district rather, I know the principal's fund picked up like $150,000.
I have to correct you. The general fund picked up that, not principal's fund. So I have to correct
Right.
you.
From the general fund business.
Yes.
Right.
But
So
Yes.
that was only because we had additional ESSER funds. Normally, I got here in 2011, normally we have a band boosters that did the fundraisers for the band, and they bought the instruments, they also bought the uniforms. And so because of the COVID and things like that, some of those things, we had to absorb some of the cost. But typically, your co-curricular clubs have to fundraise.
So were we ever under athletics?
You say
'Cause,
we?
Sorry, was the band ever under the athletics department? Because there was a time where, like 2019, we had, it was like track suits, where like the track team, we all had the same gear, but it just said band, track, cheer. So I just want to know that.
So we have, you were probably talking about, previously we had the Adidas contract.
Yes.
And so, I know the district, and that was before me.
Yeah.
The district bought a lot of Adidas gear for all the programs. We are now an Under Armour, athletic department. And so, if the band, and this, Alan is correct, the band boosters are trying to come back because you're starting to do concessions now at athletic events, and that was real big.
Yes, sir.
And I know that the band booster parents are going to work some tournaments coming up to help generate some funds as well. But that is a conversation that we have with Mr. Dean and the band parents, if they're interested in getting some Under Armour.
Okay. Sorry. Another question is, how do we get like sponsors, just like other sports?
Yeah.
How does the
We've
band?
talked about this, and that's very, very good questions. We really need to have an intentional program to do that, but typically when you get sponsors, you send out a letter, you might go and visit them, knock on the door and say, I'm collecting for, but we need, as a district, to have more of intentional, because we don't want everybody going everywhere, and then you have 4 or 5, you got the band, you got the something, you got me knocking on the door. So we just need a more intentional process to ask for sponsors, because really, I'm just gonna be honest, I was just so out, it was great. Pippin's Market, I went to get some scholarship money for him, and he was supposed to only give me $1,000. But for some reason, I guess he had a good day that day, and he gave me $2,000. So it was just an ask. So we just need to start asking. But we need like I said, an intentional type of ask.
So
You
I
know?
would like to support our board representatives on this initiative, because I think some of the questions are, is there a set amount of funding for all these extracurricular activities? How are they divided? Because I hear that the sports have sponsorship, they get a certain amount of money, but when you talk about band and other auxiliary things, I think it's left in the shadow regarding funding. Is there a set amount? I think that we should have a meeting and to talk about that, of how we're going to move forward, how our students feel in regards to are certain curricular activities left out of funding, things
Right.
like that.
Yes, we can have a conversation about how we fundraise and how we will support, those extracurricular activities and some of the co-curricular things as far as fundraising, but they're really totally different from sports. In
Right,
that
we-
sports, people pay to come in and see them, and that's where they get their money. So they are in fact fundraising, but they have something that's a little different than a lot of the other activities have. So, yeah, we have to talk about how do we fundraise and things like that. And I do know, like, the band holds every now and then those competitions and things like that. And so then people pay to come in. It's just that sports is, as you know, it's a lot more, and they have a lot more activities and things. So that's how they raise the money. But they have to spend it. I mean, you don't go out there on the football team without a special helmet and without all that equipment and all of that. So definitely understand your concern and your desire to make sure that the band is properly funded. And I think we do need to talk, as you said, Ms. Allen, more specifically about fundraising, how to make that happen.
Are we included in that meeting or no?
You can be
You
included,
definitely
you probably got
included.
some really good ideas, I'm guessing. Yes.
And then, last thing, we're having a Battle of the Bands on Saturday, October 21st, TM4 versus everyone at 2 p.m. And we'd like to see most of you guys there. Thank you.
Where is that gonna be held?
At Trotwood-Madison High School,
What day?
This Saturday.
October
Saturday.
21st. Saturday
And what time?
at 2 p.m.
Thank you for the invite.
Thank you.
Yes. And now,
Oh, you have
our
one.
student representative, Aaliyah. And I do want to let everyone know that Faith Metcalf did text me to let me know she would not be able to make the meeting today. So we have Aaliyah sitting in.
Oh, okay. So, I was wondering, like, is there any way, like, we could get a study
Can you
program also?
speak up?
I'm sorry. I was wondering if there was also like a way that we also could get a study program for the high school also, because that is a problem in the high school, that a lot of kids don't know how to study, and we have a lot of tests that we are required to take to graduate, so, yes.
We can definitely look into that, yes.
Okay. And that's all.
Very good. Thank you, ladies. And now board comments, Mr. Anderson.
Okay. All right, I would like to thank our student representatives, gosh, every time, for being bold and courageous to address the board and their superintendent and treasurer of their needs. I don't know, have you guys had your town hall with your students yet? Have that happen? I don't know if we can encourage Mr. McCray for that to happen sometime soon. So our representatives can come back with some concerns that the student body has, and presents to the board.
Actually, we discussed that. They have a plan forward. These young ladies, it's like they met before we met.
Okay.
And they talked about doing a survey, their idea. They're gonna create a survey to the students. They're gonna come up with the questions. They'll pass them to us. We'll take a look at them. So they have a timeline for what it is they're gonna do. In fact, Ms. Anini actually wanted, I think it was the student government to come and speak.
Yes.
They're so far ahead. I am just thoroughly impressed, and I'm so proud to have you serve on our board. But Mr. Anderson, they've thought about that.
Awesome.
They have a timeline.
Mr. McCray has our meetings, like, we do class meetings, and he usually has our meetings every quarter, and then he also has our honor roll meetings too, so.
Awesome. All right, I'd like to shout out our superintendent for doing the video last week in regards to
took your
out of
advice.
school. Now I'm young, so I got something to say. I think we got some fine guys back there who deal with technology. I don't know. It seemed like it was an Android camera that shot that video. So it wasn't an iPhone. So we probably want to get a good camera next time to show the beauty of our superintendent. And I'd also like to shout out to Miss Tracy Mallory, her awesome team. Special plug to Miss Sherry Bryan. When I say that you have someone who advocates for our children who are IEPs with disabilities, Miss Sherry Bryan is a stone, a jewel to this district, and regardless of who you are, she will let you know that she's here for the students. So I'd like to shout that out. That's
Thank
all I
you.
have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Davis.
Well, piggybacking on IT, I appreciate you guys. I always look forward to coming in and seeing you guys knocking it out. Operations, I appreciate everything you've done in reference to these science tables and working with the science department. Great job on that. I've been looking forward to that since I took office, honestly, like looking in the science department. Art department, Dr. Paul, really look forward to our endeavors coming up this future. You know, we're gonna go back to the future and get these art kids with a voice. Band, I do realize that I could see that's in your heart. Nothing's wrong with that. But I would encourage you to bring your gang with you and teach them what you're learning here. That's probably their destiny to be part of what you're doing. I heard one of the greatest lines, and it came from Kermit the Frog, the Muppets. He said, even when he was a tadpole and he had his tail, he knew what he wanted to be. Even before he lost his tail, he knew what he wanted to do. And that's so important that you guys keep doing that. You'll hear 1,000 no's, but that one yes will always get you in the door. You can look at all these people in here, they've heard a lot of no's, but those one yeses are why they're destined to be here with me and why I'm here to publicly serve everyone, including you. So don't ever give up on that stuff, but November 2nd will be when that is. And whenever people look at you and try to rush you or look at their clocks and stuff, you slow down even more, okay? And thank you to just everyone tonight. It's important that we have a winning atmosphere, not an anemic one here. I hope y'all see the strength in me when I'm talking, because I'm getting stronger with this because of y'all. I've really appreciated seeing Mr. Anderson just grow into this role. I don't even hear fear in your voice or anything when you're talking up here. I'd really be impressed by that energy. Madam President, thank you again for giving me this time to just kind of reflect on everything. But our winning atmosphere, before I digress, is so important. I do realize that winning can't be everything, but I did hear this guy named Vince Lombardi say, but it's the only thing. So that's what I want us to know, from our IT to our operations to our administration. What a great administration we do have here. I did hear the concerns in reference to our studying programs. I actually can feel the energy in that. I'm going to talk to the board about that when we get into later discussions about what can we do in our superintendent for our study improvement socially. I look forward to our middle school, our Westbrook and Madison Park, getting that art in there, because I love to just see those millennials that watch Bob Ross now develop with the next generation. I would love to see those, Mr. Davis from Central, all those artists that are here. We have a rich gem city as far as artistry and music. So these children are in the right place. And I didn't forget our social work sister over there that always comes in so quiet. Thank you guys for this time. I digress, but please remember, winning is something that we should strive for, and second place has its place too. But I heard Martin Luther King say in a speech he can't be worried about some of that, because right now we need to do this mountaintop thing, especially in Trotwood-Madison. Thank you again for y'all time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. And now Ms. Moore.
President Jeter Freeman, I'm going to be brief, okay? First of all, Dr. Paul, that was a great presentation, and thank you for your partnership in the city, in our schools. Also, Dr. Cosby, just really quick, we've always talked about all those resources that we have.
Yes.
Do we have some sort of resource tool, like where people know where to go, like some sort of compass?
Yes.
That says, okay, where is that on our website?
That is the kind of thing that, like I said, Ms. Brown at the high school knows. If a kid comes to her, she knows how to differentiate their needs and where to send them. Remember, we had talked about the purpose of having a social worker, or one place is that the kids go there and then they find out where they go next. So that system is in place.
Great. Is it accessible by to parents as well?
Yeah, well, parents can get to it, yes. Then we actually have a QR code. Kids can scan that QR code, and that will tell them as well. They get to let someone know that way if they're having a problem, if they need some help. So we have a lot of ways for our kids to access this support, and it is a lot of support for them.
Yeah, I know that there's so many things, I'm finding out new things every single day about what we have in the district. I just wanna make sure that we're communicating it to the community, because that's the biggest thing. I mean, there were people at one point, they didn't know they could use the high school to walk, or to work out, or to pull. You know, so we have all these things, right?
Right.
It's just making sure that people know about it. And now that they know about it, guess what? They use it.
Right.
And they utilize it. So I'm talking about a lot of these resources that we have in the district, just making sure that it's on our social media pages. Maybe you could be part of that interview, you know, that we talk about all the good things that
Right.
happen with media, and just on our website and wherever else it can be, to make sure that people know that there's so much out here.
I
I mean, it's
agree.
information overload, but we
No,
have it.
you can't communicate too
Right.
often, for sure.
Absolutely, and that's pretty much it. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Ms. Cherry?
Well, first off, I do want to piggyback off of the other board members with Dr. Paul and your presentation. Thank you so very much. Once again, I like the enthusiasm from our student government over here. I look forward to working with you guys. There's a couple things that I do have. I normally don't have a lot, but I have a couple things. One, I forgot to mention last board meeting about the financial workshop that was completed by the Deltas at the high school.
Yes.
That was phenomenal, and I liked the energy, the turnout, the parents, everyone that was engaged. So charge it to my head and not my heart for not mentioning it at our last board meeting. Another thing is, I wanted to just discuss real briefly about the disturbing information that was shared by the parent. If we can get a hold of this, and get on this, expeditiously. I also would like for, if you will, Dr. Cosby, to get the information to the board of all the documented efforts and times and dates and things like that that has been, that the parent has tried to contact the high school or the administrators and things like that, and even your follow-up. So we can make sure we keep a record of that. Because it's so often that, you know, someone to say that, you know, we called the school and no one answered, or we called this, and, you know, I'm not saying, I've had that opportunity to call the school and no one has answered, but then there's been times when there've been Johnny on the spot, and it has been good customer service. So I just wanted to make sure that we just close that little gap. Also, with Ms. Brown and Ms. Daniel, I wanted to just give a little shout out to their students for the drawing, for what they saw during recesses and their trees that they drew. That's exciting for those students, and I don't want to put a damper over those students who are using their visual to be creative. So I wanted to make a shout out to them. I was at the high school game on Wednesday. I wanted to shout out to the cheerleaders. They did a phenomenal job with being collaborative with the other cheerleaders. They did a cheer together. I mean, just to see, you know, some positive interaction, and that's what we need versus pulling and tugging at one another. And even the cheer coach got out there, and I said, wow, look, great, just amazing. So I wanted to make sure we shouted out those cheerleaders as well. The job shadowing, Mrs. Allen, I think that's a phenomenal thing, and maybe we can increase the number of job shadowings. Also, I wanted to say, piggyback off of Mr. Anderson with Sherry Bryant. I had a meeting with Ms. Bryant and her team about admitting a special needs child, and everybody just was on the same page, and I'm looking forward to this gentleman actually being enrolled. So that's to be announced when he's actually going to be enrolled. But just to see how everyone worked together, positive, and willing to lend an extended hand to it. So I wanted to say that. And let me see, what else do I have? The third grade guarantee. I wanted to ask one question, and you can, put this in an email if you will. Years ago, when my child was in the 3rd grade, we had a parent group that actually did a mock 3rd grade guarantee test, because some of those children did not understand the do's and the don'ts on the test, and a lot of them actually failed the test because of that. But I kind of, shared with the parents, had you been at that parent meeting, had you been engaged and involved, then I don't think you would have had the results that you had the first time that your child took the test. So I was just wondering if a mock test is out there, or do we do something like that to help our kids with the 3rd grade guarantee?
We actually are taking advantage of resources from ODE.
Okay.
Called readiness assessments. Those are full-length tests. We can give 2 a year. We gave 1 early this month so that students practice that once before they take it
Cool.
in late October. And we can actually see all those results, including their writing samples. We're going to look at those next week at the DLP meeting. And then teachers can use those results in their instruction. And then they'll take another benchmark test in March, right before they take the test again.
Okay, cool.
And these are test example questions that have been used before on this same test. So that's what makes it sort of different from other benchmarking that we've done. So it's really exciting, it's new. It's something that Mrs. Murdoch is bringing with her that she used in other districts prior to coming to us. But we saw the value in it and went on with that.
And last but not least, all the tutors that we have signed up, I think that is awesome. But I also want us to track how many students, how often the tutoring took place, how long, the subject, all of that. Because we can have a lot of tutors, but if we only have 3 students, we don't need that many tutors. But, I'm just giving them, throwing that out there. But I want to track that information about the tutors.
We can make that happen.
Okay.
Very good. And for myself, I've got this throat thing going on, but I appreciate all the comments from the board. I appreciate Dr. Paul coming, and I appreciate that you took 2 days to write 3 grants for Trotwood. I really do appreciate that. And our students, you're awesome. And we love having your voice here on behalf of your students. And that's all I have tonight. And now we will go to motion to go into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual per Board of Ed Policy 0166. I'll take motion.
I'm to go into executive session for the reasons stated.
Been properly moved in second. Ms. Allen,
Who's seconding it?
Mr. Anderson. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes, and we will enter into executive session at 7:05.